questions. But before I start, do you have a question? Is there anything that you want to know with respect to these two question types? If yes, then go ahead, ask that right now so that we can answer it and then move over to solving these questions together. So we have Vedant, Tatar, Sanchit, anyone else who's here? So questions, any question, any issue, any concern before we start? Let's ensure that you bring that my way, particularly concerns that are related to these two question types, and if there is anything else that you want to talk about. Hi Ujjwal, what's up? Good evening everyone who's joining in. So let's go ahead, start our practice. I don't see any question per se. So let's go ahead and start working on the questions that I have for you. And during this session too, we can go ahead and take those up. So typically when you write the CAT exam, there is a section called verbal ability and reading comprehension section. It is usually the very first section of the exam, and it is divided into two parts, verbal ability and reading comprehension. But last year the examiners ensured that they did not exist as two separate subsections. The VA questions were also sprinkled alongside the RC questions. So one of the question categories that we get is the one where you get this particular type of directions. So the directions ask us or tell us that the four sentences given below, when properly sequenced, would yield a coherent paragraph. Decide on the proper sequencing of the order of those sentences. Yeah, basically decide on the proper order or the proper sequence of those sentences and key in the answer. This is the important part. When you see this, you know that the question is a non-multiple choice question, which is also popularly called TITA because of this tendency to type in your answers, type in the answer. Now, why is it important? These are questions that do not carry any negative marking, and therefore easier for you to go ahead and attempt these even when you're not very sure of the answer. So this direction belongs to a question type that we popularly call para-jumbles, and here is your first question on the screen. The questions are all moderate difficulty questions, occasionally slipping into the territory of difficult, but your time is on. Why don't you go ahead and answer the question now? I'll put the timer here on a corner. Okay, so we have one answer from Kabilan. The timer is still on. That was really quick. Let's see. So we also have Abhinandan pitching in. The difference between Abhinandan and Kabilan is 2-1, as in 2-1-4, 4-1-2. So position of 4 and then sequence of 2 and 1. All right, Jigyanshu, Varsha, Atharv. Lot of answers coming in, huh? The time is also coming to a close. And there we go. Our 2 minutes are up. Let's check. Let's start reading these. So the third heat wave began on April 17 and lasted till April 20. Now you notice this the third heat wave. So there should be a first or a second heat wave coming before it, right? Where is that first or second heat wave? Let's see. The second gives us information. The peak month for heat waves over India is May, with temperatures starting to peak in the second half of April. So when do the temperatures start peaking? Peak here would mean reaching the highest point, second half of April. And what is the peak month for heat waves? May. Information. Third, March marks the beginning of the summer season and is considered a transition phase where day temperatures gradually rise. Then fourth, however, that's a clue. Maharashtra's first two heat wave spells were recorded last month. March saw two long spells of a heat wave, March 11 to 19, and one of the longest spells from March 27 to April 12. So you notice this is heat wave 1, this is heat wave 2, this is your heat wave number 3. So can I say that one should come after 4, cannot come before 4? Unless you put 4, how would you know which heat wave, which place was this heat wave recorded? You would know nothing. So 4 cannot be put after 1. Now let's look at this however. So you're saying however, Maharashtra's first two heat wave spells were recorded last month. And that last month was March, and then of course one of those heat waves continued till April. Now when we start with however, we put in a contrast. So if we are saying however Maharashtra's first two heat wave spells were recorded last month, in a sentence before that we should say that we did not expect those heat waves to happen last month. So which sentence tells you out of the other 3? And 1 is anyway after, so it cannot come before. So between 2 and 3, which sentence justifies the however? Anything in third that tells you that we don't expect heat waves in March? No. Anything in second? Yes, because the peak month is May. However, Maharashtra's first two heat wave spells were recorded in the month of March. So you expect them to occur in May, you don't expect them to occur in March, yet they occurred in March. So if you want to justify the however, you need to put 2 and 4 together. Now the question is, where do we put 3? And that is a question that I don't need to answer. I think practically all of you have put 3 at the beginning, right? And therefore, if I combine your understanding of 3 at the beginning and then I use these two, our answer becomes 3, 2, 4, 1. So Atar, you're saying easy to moderate, but then go back and look at how many people got this right. That's the only way to decide, to determine whether a question is easy or not. Democratic way is the only way, everything else is guess. So you can call it easy to moderate if at least, it's a 50% people got it right. Otherwise, no. Vedant not entirely idea based, because I notice third heat wave, first heat wave, second heat wave, they're more or less clear. So I'd put them in the category of word-based clues. However is a word-based clue. I think putting 3 at the beginning is the only thing that could have required you to dive deeper into idea. Plus there are a lot of clues scattered around in the timeline. Okay, next question. Go ahead, answer this. What happened? Abhinandan, in this context, if you are talking about the third heat wave, how do you justify that if you do not put it after 4? So if it is not a heat wave that happened in Maharashtra, where did it happen? And if you don't know that, how would you put a before it? Tell me. That in itself was a clue. And that is something that you probably missed out on. Okay, this one I have 5 answers so far. Ab chamka tere ko, huh? Okay. Oh, Vedant, that's interesting. Very nice. Okay, so now that I have plenty of answers, let's go ahead and dive into it. Yet, that's a clue. Like other American cities, though unlike many in Britain, Pittsburgh has successfully reinvented itself as a tech hub with booming incomes despite a still falling population, and is now ranked as one of the most livable cities in the world. Okay. Second, here was a place known as the Steel City, gritty, industrial, blue collar, and like most such cities, declining from the 1980s as its heavy industry closed, its companies relocated, and its population fell. So which city are we talking about? So you say, here was a place known as the Steel City. Which city? Third, the story is eerily similar to that of many cities in the UK. The story of what is eerily similar to that of many cities in the UK. So we've basically gone on to kind of analyze it. Eerily is in a strange and frightening manner. Okay. Take Pittsburgh first. So now that we've read it all, check this. Which city? Pittsburgh. Then first also talks about Pittsburgh reinventing itself. So if you want to reinvent something, you need to tell, and there is a sentence that talks about how it used to be earlier. That sentence needs to come before. So I think even when I look at it superficially, I can tell you fourth should come before second and first. And you need to talk about a place, how it was in the past. It's only then you talk about the reinvention, which means that 2 should actually come before 1. So there you go. Now where do we put 3? 3 says the story, and the story of what? Once again it has to be what? Pittsburgh, right? What they say? And now where do I put 3 with respect to 2 and 1? So let's check. The story is eerily similar to that of many cities in the UK, including Liverpool and Newcastle, Birmingham and Glasgow. Yet, like other American cities, Pittsburgh successfully reinvented. But then look at this, though unlike many in Britain. So here many is many similar cities in Britain. So where are those many similar cities? Here you go. Many is this many cities. There are times when you skip a noun when you are repeating things. So this many is basically many cities, right? So if you want to write just many, this is many cities need to come before, and therefore 3 needs to be before 1. 3 needs to come before 1, and if you put 3 before 1, you get 4, 2, 3, 1. Now tell me. Clues. This, I think this was a very subtle connection. This could have posed challenge to quite a few of us, but 2 before 1 was very easy. 3 before 1, 3 right before 1 is also, once you figure out this clue, becomes easy. So that's how you'd go ahead and deal with this. Okay. So let me take you over to your third question now. Here is the third one. Let's start. Go. Ujjwal, answer is always in the question, isn't it? That's how parajumbles are framed, no? Okay, so let's see. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Lot of answers coming in. And most of you are right. I think at one particular place, some of us are a little bit confused. So, Atar, you notice, this is the kind of question that can be put under the category of easy to moderate. But if you look at the first one, moderate, second one, difficult, this is something where you'd perhaps go from easy to moderate. And look at this. Do you see this quote mark? And you see this other quote mark. Do you see a quote mark anywhere else? Do you think anything else is a part of this quote? No. So that will tell you that 2 and 4 must come together. Then herein lies the essential contradiction. Where? That contradiction is there in 2 and 4. And that's why 3 goes here. And Walt Whitman not only embraces this existential incongruity. The existential incongruity, the contradiction is mentioned in third. So first should come after, and that is why 2, 4, 3, 1 is going to be our sequence here. Okay, so this. In order to have this, you definitely need to put 2 and 4 before. Plus, you cannot put anything between 2 and 4 because look at second. When King Midas asked Silenus what the best thing for man is, Silenus replied, quote, "It is better not to have been born at all. The next best thing for man would be to die quickly." So we need to close quote, end quote from Silenus. So there you go. So these were your parajumbles, and now let's go ahead and have 3 more questions. Read the directions and then we talk about these. Oh, Ujjwal, it appears that you haven't worked on this topic with me in the batch or on YouTube earlier. You can just get into any of these batches at Physics Wallah, and you'd find a demo session by me on parajumbles. You can watch that, and that is hopefully going to make you better. And it's a demo session, so it won't cost you anything. So these are the directions for a question type that we know as paragraph odd one out. So the examiner gives us 5 sentences, 4 of them are somehow connected together, whereas one is the odd one out, and that is why paragraph odd one out, or to be even more appropriate, paragraph odd sentence out. So whenever you see this poso, you know that I'm talking about odd one out or odd sentence out. Let me begin the timer for you and then let's get cracking. Ujjwal, if you read the directions, 4 of these belong to the same paragraph, one does not, and that is why it is called the odd one out. So you need to identify the one which does not fit in with the other 4. One says live class. Hey, it is live. Kyun? What makes you think it is not live? Harsh, repeat yes. Take a gap. Ideally, no. Okay, so let's go ahead. Look at our 4th question. What is the answer coming in? I have an answer from Ujjwal, Jigyanshu. Who else? Lot of time here. Come on, where is the answer? Okay, lot of other answers too. So the answer shared by you guys was 2, and therefore, and that's absolutely spot on. All the others, you notice, against them, they, all of these are basically pronouns talking about the jealous people. And if you use these pronouns to start connecting these together, I think we can easily figure out that 1, 4, 3, 5 do connect to one another, whereas second is obviously the odd one out. Perfect. Pearl mystery, 1, 4, 3, 5. 2 is the answer, no? I'm assuming that's the answer that you'd shared as well. Here is the next question. Let's see how you deal with this. And Harsh, if you need to discuss anything else, you can drop the context in the group, and we can continue the conversation there. Okay, the time's almost up. Let us see. What's our answer? Okay, Jigyanshu, let us check. What's your answer? 3. All right. Okay, so let's get into that. So the answer here is actually second. Look at the theme that is developing. All the other sentences, if I start linking them, I think, okay, I'm just looking at these superficially. I may get it wrong, but I think this is the order in which we can arrange them. But then these 4 sentences, 1, 3, 4 and 5, they are all talking about the presence of dark matter. 2 is the only sentence which gets into or dives into the components of the dark matter. So let's check. For this reason, which reason? So 4, 3, 1 and 5 are basically moving towards establishing the presence. Second gets into the specific components. So if I were to form a paragraph around a theme, I'd say these 4 can form a theme where the paragraph is trying to establish the presence of dark matter. Second will obviously belong to a different theme, and that is why that will be the odd one out here. See that? So Jigyanshu, can you elaborate on the question as well? So when you say how, which exact part are we talking about? So dark matter believed to be 85%, presence is implied dark. You're not able to figure it out directly, but then you indirectly go ahead and measure it, and for this reason most experts think that dark matter is abundant in the universe and that it has a strong influence on its structure and evolution. And then you go and talk about why it is called dark. So all of these are basically about the presence of dark matter. This, up to now, WIMPs or weakly interacting massive particles have been regarded as the most likely components of dark matter. So you notice we are getting into a new theme now. So because you're getting into a new theme, you would ideally put it in a separate paragraph and not in this one. And here is one last question for today. And let me start the timer. Let's go ahead, solve it, and then let's see. Kabilan, you've studied these things in the batch as well, yeah? Okay, you are in the English medium batch. We haven't reached para-jumbles yet. So just focus on comprehension, and once we take you through the classes, hopefully you'll feel more comfortable. Chrysop, I think that's a very unique case. 6 years of gap is going to be something that the colleges will focus a lot on. But can you get a good college? Yes, you can. But there are plenty of colleges here where you can make, where your performance in the CAT and the interviews, etc., can make a huge difference. So, very clearly possible. But we need to talk. Okay, a lot of interesting answers coming in. A lot of different answers too. I think once, okay, here is the answer. I'll not even get into a detailed explanation here. Okay, I'll talk about just one thing, after which you will drop into the chat and say, oh, how did I miss that? Let's read first. Since 1900, Shanghai has sunk by 2.5 meters due to groundwater extraction and the weight of its buildings pressing into marshy ground. This is a sentence which is talking about the ground sinking. Whereas if you look at 2, 3, 4 and 5, you are talking about the sea level rising. See this? Sea level rise. Semi-submerged conditions. A condition is semi-submerged when water enters, which will be a result of sea level rising. Water becomes unmanageable. Over several hundred years, the upper levels of measure will decay as wind and water erode them. Upper levels getting eroded by water. Water level rising, which is in this context sea level rising. So, first is talking about a completely different thing from what the bottom 4 are talking about. We'll not be able to fit it along any of these other ones. See? So that is why the answer is 1, and that's what I brought for you today. You can reach out to me later. There are a couple of people who are probably new here. If you want to have a word, you can pop into this Telegram group and I'd respond to your messages there. And before I sign out, here is something that I want to leave you with. The difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do. So you are a CAT aspirant and you want to become a champion performer in the CAT exam. You want to get into some of the choicest B schools in the world. The only thing that separates you and that dream of yours is from becoming a reality is what you do. So make sure that you put in the efforts and make sure that the efforts are put into the right direction as well. And for that direction, for that plan, of course, we are here and you can reach out to us. So that's it from me today. Have a great evening ahead and I'll catch you guys in the next one now with an anthropology based passage. So, if I look at the last 8 years of the CAT exam, the areas that have been asked the most frequently are sociology and anthropology. So it'll be anthropology the next time around. Join me and we'd work on a passage then. Take care and have a great day ahead.